Ever felt like there are corners of the world that are just misunderstood? Places you hear whispers about, maybe a headline or two, but you can't quite picture what it's really like to walk those streets? The Balkans, for instance. A name that conjures up, well, what does it conjure up for you? Ancient history? Conflict? Or maybe, just maybe, a blank slate waiting to be filled? What if I told you that nestled within this vast, complex region is a country that defies easy categorization? A place where the echoes of empires meet a fiercely independent spirit, where old traditions rub shoulders with an almost frantic modernity. And what if the stories you think you know are only scratching the surface or perhaps aren't even the right stories at all? Today, we're not just visiting a country. We're peeling back layers. We're going to explore a nation that many might point to on a map but few truly understand. A place that might just be Europe's most surprising, most resilient, and most, well, you'll see. We're diving headfirst into Albania. And I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see why this shouldn't just be a pin on your travel map, but a full-blown experience. Stay with me because Albania has some secrets to share, and you're going to want to hear them. So Albania. If you're planning a Balkan adventure, why here first? Well, for starters, the Albanian presence isn't neatly contained within its borders. Think of it more like an echo, a cultural footprint that extends across this entire historic peninsula. In Kosovo, a staggering 95% of the population is Albanian. Head over to North Macedonia, and you'll find nearly half the people there have Albanian roots. It's a nation that, in many ways, defines the Balkan tapestry, a thread woven through numerous countries. The country itself is a compact 28,000 square kilometers, home to around 2.7 million people. But don't let those numbers fool you. The story of who these people are is far grander. Forget any assumptions about Italian or Ottoman Turkish origins. No, the Albanian story goes deep, way deep, back to the Illyrians who settled this rugged land around 2000 BC. Imagine that, a people inhabiting these same mountains and valleys for over 1,500 years before the Roman Empire even showed up. That's the bedrock of the modern Albanian nation. But what about that striking flag? The double-headed eagle? It's intense, right? Well, its origins aren't quite as ancient as the Illyrians. We're talking about 600 years of history here, a symbol born from defiance. Picture this. 1443, the Ottoman Empire is a vast, powerful force. But one man, Albania's national hero, Skanderbeg, along with a wave of his countrymen, decides enough is enough. They rebel, and what do they raise as their banner? This powerful double-headed eagle, borrowed from the Eastern Roman Empire, a symbol of their fierce resistance. Fast forward to 1912, inspired by Skanderbeg's legacy, Albanian nationalists unfurl that same eagle in their fight for independence from the Ottomans. And when they succeeded, it became official. That flag isn't just a design. It's a declaration. Today, the ethnic makeup is predominantly Albanian, around 82.7% according to international sources, though you might hear some passionate locals claim a much higher number. The rest? A mix of Greeks, Romanians, Roma people, Montenegrins, and other minorities, each adding their own thread to the national fabric. We'll be filming scenes of everyday life here, trying to capture that local rhythm, to understand what makes Albania, well, Albanian. One of the first things you notice, especially if you visit around this time of year, is the weather. It's got a mind of its own. Sunshine one minute, a sudden downpour the next. You'll see people still rocking long-sleeved shirts or jackets, always prepared. And here's a quirk that tells you a lot about infrastructure. The country largely lacks natural gas and central heating. Even in hotels, you'll find air conditioning units pulling double duty for heating, and electric water heaters in the bathrooms. It means many homes across the Balkans, Albania included, rely heavily on AC. Thankfully, truly freezing weather usually only sticks around for 2 or 3 months. The rest of the year is relatively mild. But no matter the weather, the capital, Tirana, is electric. Day or night, it's a constant hum of activity, throngs of people, a relentless flow of traffic. Mornings are a rush of adults heading to work, young people to school. And how do they get around? Bicycles and electric scooters are everywhere, zipping through the organized chaos. Despite the crowds, there's no metro, no tram system. The city's actually quite manageable on foot, so for many, public transport or their own 2 feet are the way to go. Now, let's talk taxis, because even this has a uniquely Albanian twist. You've got your traditional yellow cabs, sure, but then there are the green and white ones. These are a different breed, think more luxurious, modern, and a surprising number of them are sleek electric cars, often from Chinese brands. The fare might be a touch higher, but step inside, and the comfort and luxury are immediately obvious. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes. And the cars in general. Compared to neighboring North Macedonia or Kosovo, the vehicles cruising Tirana streets often seem a lot more lavish. Seriously, if you drop someone who's never been to Albania onto a busy Tirana street, they might blink and wonder if they'd accidentally landed in Germany. There's a definite vibe here, a tendency among some Albanian men to prioritize impressive wheels, sometimes even over owning a home. You'll hear stories of guys renting luxury cars just to impress their girlfriends. It's a fascinating glimpse into how wealth, or the appearance of it, is showcased. Range Rovers? They're practically a city mascot, one of the most common high-end vehicles you'll see. So how do they afford these flash rides? Well, it's crucial to remember many people come here specifically to rent cars, feeding into that image. But for the average Albanian, the allure is real. Owning an expensive car can feel more valuable, more empowering than owning a house, even if it seems superficial. It's about the status, the attention. Then you look up at the buildings. Around the capital's core, structures are generally newer, shinier. But venture onto the side streets, and the story changes. Buildings show their age. Some look like they haven't seen a paintbrush in decades. The residents here? Likely among the lowest income groups in the capital. We hear the minimum monthly income is around 400 euros. So, the people in these older apartment blocks, many are probably earning that minimum wage. Want to buy an apartment in Tirana? Prices are by the square meter, typically ranging from 800 euros to 1,000 euros. So, a modest 3-bedroom, 100 square meter place? You're looking at a budget of around 100,000 euros. Rent for the most basic apartments starts at 300 euros and climbs from there. For ordinary people on average incomes, owning a home in the capital is a serious challenge, a distant dream for many. But here's where the picture gets bigger and a bit more complex. Remember that 2.7 million population figure? It doesn't tell the whole story. Over 1.2 million Albanian citizens, that's more than 44% of the in-country population, have migrated mostly to other countries in Europe. This isn't just a statistic, it's a lifeline. Albanians are fiercely loyal to their homeland. Students, adults who've built lives abroad, they regularly send money back. This cash flow is vital, supporting families, keeping households afloat. It's a quiet, constant river of support that helps explain how people manage in a tough economic climate. This economic reality also shapes life milestones. The average age of marriage here is around 27 or 28. And Albanian weddings? They're not small, quiet affairs. We're talking lavish celebrations, huge guest lists, and consequently a significant budget. It's a big deal. And an interesting side note for anyone considering a life here. Marrying an Albanian can be a pathway to residency. It's a way to open the door to a second home country. And the people themselves? You'll often hear comments about their good genetics. Many are strikingly handsome or beautiful. But beyond appearances, what I've found is an incredible warmth. They are often extremely positive, talkative, and engaging. It's an appealing combination. Take Skanderbeg Square, right in the heart of Tirana. It's one of the largest, most well-known squares, with a beautifully modern layout. Yet, even during peak tourist season, it can feel a bit lifeless. In my opinion, its vast potential isn't being fully tapped. It's crying out for more vibrant events, day and night. As it stands, tourists often find themselves with limited activities, mostly just taking photos. The main entertainment is a Ferris wheel. For such a spacious, central spot, it feels somewhat dysfunctional, leaving visitors with money to spend but few compelling ways to spend it there. Albanians, especially the younger generation, clearly value their appearance: a hair, beards for the guys, makeup. Most people have dark hair and many have fair skin. You won't see a lot of natural blonde, green-eyed, or blue-eyed Albanians. If you spot them on the streets, they're likely Scandinavian tourists. But, as I said, they're often considered very attractive. Character-wise, this is a society that genuinely welcomes its guests. Ask someone on the street for directions, and they'll often respond with sincere helpfulness. Shopkeepers greet you with a smile. And if a local knows a few words of your language, they'll often make a point to use them. Maybe a thank you in English or Italian creates this lovely sense of intimacy and affection. Perhaps it's the Mediterranean climate or just a Balkan trait, but Albanians, like their neighbors, seem to truly enjoy living life, engaging in conversation, connecting. What about the youth? Many young Albanians, after university, set their sights on Germany. I've heard similar stories from guides in Kosovo and North Macedonia. It's a common Balkan trend. Young people often focus their career plans on foreign countries. It makes sense. If you study hard, acquire skills, you can earn a living much more easily in industrialized nations like Germany, where salaries are significantly higher than the average of less than €1,000 a month back home. This allows them to dream bigger, like buying a nice apartment back in Albania with the money they earn abroad. Economically, Albania doesn't have many globally recognized brands. Most electronic devices, cars, even defense-related products are imported. The country is rich in natural fruits and vegetables, beautiful produce, but these don't generate the kind of revenue that technological goods do. So, the sectors providing substantial income through sales are limited. Beyond food and beverages, Albania produces textiles and construction materials. Their main trading partners? Italy, Turkey, Greece, Germany, and China, hence all those Chinese electric vehicles we talked about. But Albania has one massive advantage, something not all Balkan countries can boast: access to the sea. This is a game changer. It attracts tourists, injects revenue into the economy, and opens up countless sectors for development. A coastline directly influences tourist numbers. And Albania, with its stunning beach cities like Sarand, is a magnet, especially for American and European visitors during the summer. They find the Balkans more affordable, and countries like Albania and Greece are top choices for Northern Europeans seeking sun, significantly boosting the local economy. Given Albania's tumultuous history over the past century, it's not surprising the country has faced productivity struggles. Over 400 years under Ottoman rule, then gaining independence in 1912, only to face occupation attempts by Italy and Germany during World War II. Shortly after the war, decades of isolated, hardline communist rule under a single iron-fisted leader, Enver Hoxha, until the 1990s. Many Albanians today point directly to their experiences during that communist era as a primary reason for the country's slower development. Imagine a whole generation or two growing up under such a restrictive regime. The impact on initiative, on economic thinking, on connection with the outside world is profound. The government has since joined NATO, a significant step. But membership in the European Union? That's still on the horizon. If Albania were to join the EU, its economy could see a dramatic improvement. You feel this aspiration in the air. Let's talk money because it tells a story too. The local currency is the lek. And frankly, it's not very valuable. €1 is roughly equivalent to 100 Albanian lek. This low value has led to some seriously high denomination banknotes. 500, 1,000, even 2,000 lek notes are common. Even basic food items like cheese and olives can easily cost over 200 lek. And dining out? It's not considered cheap by local standards. This all points to significant inflation and a relatively weak purchasing power that makes even everyday food products feel expensive for many. For example, a meal for 3 friends at a typical Italian restaurant might cost around €50. Now, if you're visiting from the United States or countries like Switzerland, Denmark, or the UAE, you might find this extremely affordable. But for someone earning a local monthly income of, say, 1,500 euros or 2,000 euros, if they're lucky, dining out regularly becomes a luxury. Some sources say the annual inflation rate is around 5%, which sounds fairly reasonable on paper. However, I believe the prices in many restaurants, which often feel close to those in EU countries, aren't really justified by local wages. Supermarket prices generally reflect this. With 1,000 lek being about 10 euros, you can compare meat prices to your home country. Market produce, fresh and local, does seem much more affordable than restaurant offerings. The result? Most of the Albanian population understandably prefers to eat larger portions at home for less money, rather than paying more for, say, meat at a restaurant. What about religion? There's a significant Muslim population here. In fact, some sources indicate that over half the population identifies as Muslim. This creates interesting distinctions in dining options, especially in the capital. On certain streets, in areas with many mosques, you'll see halal signs. These establishments won't offer pork products. However, and this is crucial to understanding Albania, it's not a country where religious values play a dominant, overt role in public life. Remember Enver Hoxha and the communist era? Religious beliefs were actively suppressed, even banned. The concept of faith was severely diminished. As a result, Albania became one of the most atheist, or at least secular, countries in the Balkans. Given that Hoxha ruled until 1985, it's unrealistic to expect a dramatic resurgence of intense religious fervor in just 40 years. So, while there are many mosques and churches too, Muslims here generally don't practice their faith as prominently as you might see in Middle Eastern countries. In fact, you'll hear some Albanians say, almost matter-of-factly, that while some Muslims may pray in mosques, they might also consume pork. It's a very Albanian paradox, a testament to its unique historical journey. Musically, there's a strong preference for Turkish and Roma music. That's why you'll often see talented Roma musicians performing on the streets, their melodies adding another layer to the city's soundtrack. And then there's the pyramid. In another area of Tirana, you can't miss this artificial concrete structure, one of Albania's most notable and debated landmarks. Originally built as a museum for Enver Hoxha, its post-communist life has been varied. If you climb the sloping stairs to the top, and many do, you can overlook parts of the capital. However, with so many tall, modern structures now dotting the skyline, the view from the pyramid doesn't offer a coherent panoramic scene. The architectural landscape of Tirana feels in flux. Tall, skyscraper-style office buildings are interspersed among low-rise traditional buildings and older apartments. This eclectic mix has, for some, diminished the overall visual appeal of the capital, making it feel a bit disjointed. But almost everyone who climbs the pyramid makes sure to take photos, especially women, who seem particularly drawn to capturing that moment, that quirky slice of Albanian history. And speaking of food, we absolutely have to talk about what you'll eat here, because that's a huge part of the Albanian experience I haven't even touched on enough. Beyond the general affordability of market produce, there are specific dishes that will blow your mind. Think tave kosi, a baked lamb and rice dish with a yogurt sauce. It's iconic. Or byrek, flaky savory pies filled with cheese, spinach, or meat, perfect for a quick, delicious bite. And for G's, a rich, peppery dish with peppers, tomatoes, and cottage cheese, often served sizzling in an earthenware pot. Eating here isn't just sustenance. It's a deep dive into a hearty, flavorful, and incredibly welcoming culinary tradition. You'll find that family meals are important, and the local raki, a potent fruit brandy, is often part of any social gathering. A food tour, or even just bravely pointing at things in a local eatery, is an adventure in itself. And it's not just the cities. The Albanian Alps, the accursed mountains as they're dramatically known, offer some of the most breathtaking, rugged scenery in Europe. Hiking trails, stunning vistas, traditional mountain villages where life moves at a different pace. This is an Albania far removed from the bustle of Tirana, a place of wild beauty that's increasingly drawing adventurers. So, that's a glimpse into Albania and its vibrant capital, Tirana, as I've experienced it. A land of ancient Illyrians and Ottoman echoes, of Skanderbeg's defiance and Hoxha's long shadow. A place of surprising modernity, complex economic realities, and a people who are, above all, incredibly resilient and warm. From the curious car culture to the unique religious landscape, from the bustling city streets to the, I imagine, serene mountains, Albania is a country that constantly keeps you on your toes, challenging your preconceptions. It's a nation of contrasts, a place where the desire for a Range Rover can coexist with the struggle to afford a home, where a deeply rooted history meets a youthful yearning for a European future. It's complicated, it's fascinating, and it's definitely not boring. What surprised you most about Albania from what we've explored today? Is it a place you'd consider adding to your travel list now? I genuinely love to hear your thoughts, your questions, or even your own surprising travel discoveries in the comments below. What's the most unexpected thing you've learned about a country that completely changed your perspective? If you enjoyed this journey and want to see more explorations of unique corners of the world, please consider subscribing. We've got a lot more ground to cover. And hey, if you're curious about another Balkan gem with its own set of surprises, check out this video right here. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering. Goodbye for now.